Canadian fintech company Propel Holdings has just received regulatory approval that will help it expand into the U.S. Let's get more now from Clive Kinross, Chief Executive of Propel Holdings. Clive, thanks very much for joining us today.
Yeah, good morning, Roger. Delighted to be here with this great news.
Now, you're opening essentially a bank in Puerto Rico. Why go for a bank and why Puerto Rico?
Yeah, so first of all, let me just take a step back over here and remind everybody the basis for our business model in the first place. We provide access to credit to underserved and underbanked consumers. So for the most part, these are consumers who are overlooked by mainstream banks and credit unions. There's about 90 million consumers in Canada, the US, and the UK, which are the markets that we serve. And for the most part, these consumers could go into a bank, could open a bank account, and really get little else in terms of services. From our perspective, we are absolutely focused on these consumers. In today's K-shaped economy, we're seeing record numbers of applications from this cohort or this large segment of consumers across these geographies, and we want to put ourselves in a position to provide them best-in-class products and services, including additional products and services. In order to do that, Propel Bank represents the next step in that evolution. By having a banking license, we'll be able to do a few things for our consumers, obviously able to offer them best-in-class banking products and services over the longer term, like debit cards and credit cards and other products that we'll be able to do with the Propel Bank infrastructure. In addition to that, we're a company who've significantly grown access to credit for consumers through partnering with banks who have the same mission of being able to provide access to credit to these consumers.
Now, does this mean then
let me round out the point, Roger. It's an important one, but by establishing the bank partnership, we'll be able to offer more consumers in more jurisdictions and more markets access to our and our bank partners' best-in-class products.
Will you be maintaining your relationships with the other banks, and where will this bank focus? Will it be the U.S. or larger than that?
Absolutely, we'll be maintaining our focus with our other bank partners. As recently as a month ago, we partnered with Column Bank. We're the first fintech in North America focusing on underbanked consumers to partner with a nationally chartered bank like Column Bank that extends our partnership now to 5 originating banks across the U.S., which is industry leading. By having Propel Bank in Puerto Rico will allow us to provide services to more and more bank partners. So if anything, the infrastructure provides the ability to create even more of these bank partnerships, and the real winner at the end of the day will be underserved and underbanked consumers.
And how does this tie in with anything you're doing in Canada? Will there be any crossover, or will this essentially stay separate and strictly U.S.?
It's an international bank, and certainly being an international bank will provide us with the ability to expand our services into other jurisdictions, not only the U.S., which ultimately is where our regulator is based. So we'll certainly be able to expand services into other markets down the road. I don't expect that to be anything imminent, certainly as it relates to the UK or Canada. But once we integrate with additional services, we'll be able to offer those services, including treasury services, across other markets as well. So not only does it create huge revenue generating opportunities down the road, but certainly being a bank, there's opportunity for lots of cost savings as well, which not only is going to be good for our consumers, but ultimately good for our investor base as well.
And I just want to get your thoughts on Laurentian being sold to Fairstone. Would you call Fairstone a competitor for you? And your thoughts on that deal?
So, for the most part, the biggest markets that we operate is Canada. Is the US, followed by the UK, followed by Canada. There's been fairly significant regulatory changes in Canada over the last year or so, making it more and more challenging for underserved and underbanked consumers to get access to what I would call better products from their perspective. And a lot of them are being pushed out of, call it mainstream or near prime markets, to less desirable forms of credit. I think today's transaction, if anything, makes the competitive landscape that much smaller at a time where, if anything, consumers in Canada need access to more product into better markets. So still digesting the news. The multiple, from our perspective, was certainly interesting as well, and probably points to the potential in what is currently a huge underserved market, which is the underserved consumer, where we are seeing record numbers of applications in this K-shaped economy. And I don't think that's discrete to Propel.
Okay.
I think the companies that are focused on our segment of the market are just seeing very, very strong demand at the moment.
All right, we're going to have to wrap it up there. Clive, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you. Thanks for the time. Appreciate it.
Clive Kinross is Chief Executive Officer of Propel Holdings.